Welcome to The Know. I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
Chances are, if you've been following the gaming news, then you are already up to speed with the very tumultuous launch that has been Fallout 76.
Oh boy, let's dive into this. The game launched with massive bugs, including issues with lighting, NPCs being locked in the T-pose, game erasing bugs, texturing problems, audio issues, rendering issues, floating enemies in buildings. Let me get like my stand and my PowerPoint presentation. It has everything.
Yeah. Now, we've split plenty of time going into great details documenting the Fallout 76 debacle, so instead of posting another video of us comparing bag fabric, we wanted to zoom out and address the bigger issue.
That was my favorite video, though.
Ah.
That's right. Ultimately, the game's launch does raise into question the alarming trend of developers and publishers shipping half-finished games and relying on the community to alert them of problems to ultimately fix their games.
And we should note that what we're trying to discuss here are broken video games at the time of release, not to be confused with early access or games as a service. Early access, of course, is when a developer will release a game prior to its completion while also making sure that gamers know that it's still a work in progress.
The important part there is they've let gamers know and communicated that.
It's early.
Exactly.
It's early.
In the case of games as a service, developers will ship a game with a portion of its content available at release, with the remainder of the game's content launching over the course of the next year.
Ooh, I hate those.
Everybody does.
Now, this is an important distinction to make because the core problem with Fallout 76 and games like it is not that the game is broken. People play broken games all the time. The problem stems from developers and publishers saying that the game is complete when it is far, far, far from it.
Somewhere deep down,
Yes.
Fallout 76 probably has a really, really good game.
That's really deep.
Prime examples of this would be Assassin's Creed Unity. You may remember that back when it launched, with its infestation of bugs and issues. My personal favorite was the glitch where your character's face just fully disappeared, only to be rendered during cutscenes with floating eyeballs and a mouth. It was nightmare fuel.
That was
still
nightmare fuel.
therapy in that.
Yeah, and sure, one could make the argument that Unity launched in 2014 and the majority of developers have learned from Ubisoft's mistakes.
Or you could take a look at games like Mass Effect Andromeda, Grand Theft Auto Online, No Man's Sky, Battlefield 4, Drive Club, or of course Fallout 76.
Yes.
You know, it's amazing how so many of these developers see other studios making these mistakes and yet still ship out broken games.
Okay, so why do developers ship out broken games to begin with? Is this just a new trend that we as gamers just have to accept?
Well, the answer to those questions might be a little bit more obvious than you think. With the ever-growing popularity of video games, an increasing amount of studios are facing more and more pressure from publishers. As the cost of producing a video game continues to grow, so will the demand from publishers to ensure that the game launches within its original window. Tight deadlines.
Because, let's face it, video games, like any form of entertainment, have production budgets, and the more money spent on a game's development past the initial launch window ultimately equals less profitability for the developer and the studio.
Makes sense. Look, it's very easy to get romantic about video games and assume that everything should be a passion project from a developer and be treated so, where money isn't the main driving factor. However, this is not the reality that we live in, and the sad reality is that in some cases, developers will be apt to launch an unfinished game with the hopes of fixing the majority of the bugs and issues post-launch.
I always said the internet was a mistake.
That
and
internet
here
age.
we are. Now, of course, this is far from a perfect solution, but is there a better option out there? Well, that dilemma is why you see so many developers embrace early access. Games like Ark Survival Evolved, Subnautica, H1Z1, Fortnite, and PUBG all originally launched in early access.
In fact, in some cases, developers will sell their games in early access at a lower cost as a trade-off to gamers who have agreed to play the game in its extremely early state.
And that's the key factor there. Gamers are aware that they are playing a game in an extremely early state. During early access, gamers expect for the game to have bugs or rendering issues. They know that the game they're playing isn't the final product, but instead they're helping it reach its final state.
They know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
Now, the other option for developers who are producing games on a tight deadline is games as a service. The idea is to focus solely on the base requirements and functionality of the game, all the while working on extras like missions, storylines, or maps that add depth to the game at a later date post-launch. All that fluff in a game.
We'll add fluff later, like the story. Of course, the practice of games as a service is almost as equally as unpopular as releasing an unfinished game, because in the eyes of some gamers, you are doing just that. You're releasing an unfinished game. Who could forget Star Wars Battlefront 2? Outside of the game's pay-to-win strategies, one of the most consistent complaints was the lack of additional, maps, in-game heroes, and weapons.
Still working on that Pink Vader.
Yeah.
The game initially launched with a base set of maps and characters, but over the course of multiple seasons would add additional maps and heroes to add to the depth of the game.
So, where is the happy medium here? If a game's profitability remains a high importance, and it will, is it possible for a developer to release an extremely ambitious game without the game being in its final state?
Well, in the case of Fallout 76, a simple change of the game's launch to early access might have been the perfect solution for the game's controversial launch. I really think if they had applied that title and gamers knew what they were getting into, it would have worked for them.
Now, remember that the drama circling Fallout 76 isn't solely based on the game being broken. Most gamers are upset that they were told that the game was complete and finished when it wasn't. It was far from it. If Bethesda would have tempered the expectations of the masses, many of the gamers' initial complaints could have been avoided.
Now, early access, of course, does not make up for incidents like Baggate, support ticket gate, but the issues of rendering, lighting, NPCs issues would have been mostly brushed off due to the game still being a work in progress.
Not having anything fun to do? Yeah. If Fallout 76 would have gone down the road similar to another game, say Ark Survival Evolved, and launched in early access, then spent the whole year focused solely on improving the game through the feedback of their player base, not only would Fallout 76 eventually have been fixed, but it would have built a community of supportive gamers behind it as well.
But that's just one opinion. What do you think about Fallout 76? Do you think the game would have succeeded more if it launched in early access? Let us know what you think in the comment section down below.
And remember, for all your gaming news, be sure to like this video, subscribe to The Know, hit that notification bell too while you're at it. Check out our website, theknow.tv.